stopping by the Ragged Edge. I've got a package here that got delivered a couple weeks ago, and because my house is under remodel, it's been a disaster in there and I haven't gotten around to opening this up, but now's the time. I had to relocate to shoot this out in my travel trailer, but hopefully this new setting will work fine. We're going to open this up and see what we got inside. This is the newest game from Paverson. Most commonly known for their distilled game. This one is supposed to be a pretty heavy Euro game, which is not my forte, but the subject matter and the components looked so cool, I just decided to spring for it, and maybe I'm getting into new territory here. So we're going to pull all of the packages out. There are all kinds of components to take a look at. Pieces upon pieces. Okay, all of the miscellaneous little boxes which we'll go through. Bags of components. Here's the main box. Okay, that does it for getting it out of the packaging. Get the bubble wrap out of the way. Get that off the table. All right, so that's a pretty hefty box. Definitely bigger than what I was anticipating. Luthier, as we lazy Americans pronounce it, or Luthier, as it's probably most properly pronounced. The Art of the Instrument Deluxe Edition. Designers Dave Beck and Abe Burson. Artwork by Vincent Dutrait. Find true harmony through an authentic and original marriage of theme and mechanics, resulting in a rich gameplay experience that equally speaks to both the strategic gamer and the classical music lover. I might not be either one. I'm a bluegrass fan, so I don't think classical music lover quite incorporates that, but we're going to take a look anyway. Maybe I will be sold on this. See if I can get under the shrink. This is an embossed cover, and it's got the glossy finish on the instrument and then more of a dull finish on the rest of it. That's pretty classy looking. I like that they've got little finger slots to lift the lids. That is extremely helpful. Start off with a linen finish rule book. It is pretty hefty, 30-page rule book. Looks like they've got good appendix information at the back. So that should be very helpful. I will be looking up online how to play before I dig into that. So the Deluxe Edition exclusive content is listed here. Dual layer player boards, a dual layer resolution board, which is where you put your tokens out to resolve the turn order on different actions. It shows screen printed wooden tokens for the market carts, award markers, family crest tokens, prestige tokens, and the instrument tokens, metal coins, custom player resource trays, some repair tokens and performance tokens, and a how to repack guide. Fantastic. I absolutely love it when we get those included so that you can make sense of the whole thing once you've got it all spread out on the table. The rehearsal, a guided first round for new players. Okay, this is fantastic. This will be what helps me get my head wrapped around this, what looks to be a very difficult, heavy Euro game, at least for my standards. This will guide us through and get us a sense for what we need to do to play the game. Okay, that's fantastic. I wish more games would do that. Token trays. So we've got wooden cubes for the different resources to make the instruments. Obviously shaped like an instrument. That's pretty fantastic. More of the cubes. We've got some wooden dice in there. And a round marker. I'm assuming these are wooden, but yeah, those are definitely wooden, in keeping with the tenor of the game. See what I did there? Okay, very good. That looks gorgeous. Unless you have the illustrated instrument standees sold separately, leave this in the box to keep things snug. So we've got some initiative markers for the different players. So black, I guess that's a brown color, purple, red, and gold. Those are all wooden screen printed. Then we've got a whole pack of punch outs. We'll get to those in a second. We've got the individual player component trays. Those are kind of a velvet lined plastic tray. Different standees for the first chair instruments, I believe. Looks like those could have been pretty fragile, but I don't see any broken in that tray, so that's great. Purple, brown, brown, or a gray. It might be a gray. Yeah, I guess it's a gray color, not a brown. And the yellow. Then we've got a tray with some of the cards. It looks like there may be slots for expansions, I'm not sure. Here's the metal coins. We'll take some close-ups of some of this stuff in just a minute, but those have got a nice heft to them. Good design of a simplistic French horn on it. So those are the 5s in the silver color and 10s in the gold color, and those have got a grand piano on the reverse. Then we've got some larger cards with the instruments on them. Let's take a quick peek at those. Looks like there's going to be instruments and composers in here. These are a nice linen finish as well. So we've got violins, Baroque guitar, lute, double bass, transverse flute, oboe. I'm skipping through some of these. The serpent. So those are some special instruments, it looks like. Serpent, contrabassoon, musette de cour. Then we've got some timpanis, harpsichord, a pipe organ, character cards. So these are going to be the patrons. And then we've got composers. Mozart, Chopin, Haydn. All right, those look great. Artwork, of course, by Vincent Dutrait, so they look fantastic. Absolutely beautiful. And more of the same composers in that pack. I won't bother to open. All right, what is under this sheet here? Ah, nice. So these are the dual layer player boards. On one side, you put your instruments to be roughed, and then your finishing on the other side. Your patrons fit in these slots here. I'm just speaking from the one playthrough I watched online. I will obviously be learning more about that. So one for each player color. This is the dual layer board for resolving the token order on each section, so that it's got an indent for each of the player tokens to be placed. So these initiative tokens then would slot into those spots. The way I understand the game works is that you bid for turn order on each action. You'll put these face down and then you reveal what the value of the token is, and that determines in what order you will be taking your turn. Right, here are the copper 1 coins, and those have got a violin on the back of them. Very nice. And then finally, in here, it looks like we have player aids. Icon glossary, endgame scoring, sequence of a round, and there's one for each particular player, and then a solo player aid. So lots of help to get this game figured out. That's fantastic. That really is going to be great. Very nice organizer inside the box. So I will be working to get that assembled later. All right, let's take a look at some of the punch boards. If we can get that slit open. Feels like pretty heavy cardboard. It's got a linen finish to it. Nice thickness to it. How well do they punch out? Looks like very easy separation on those, so that's great. So I believe this is your player. Those slot into the individual player boards like so. Determine what your family is. Here is the main board. Very busy, lots going on here, but very well laid out. There's a spot for everything. All of the different actions represented on the board, and then in the center where you'll be placing your instruments to show whether you are first chair or so on. And then there is a dome that goes on the top of the board. Takes care of the turn order. Here is the market board, where you'll be indicating your market actions. It looks like these might be modifiers to make the game slightly different each time we play. Don't know for sure about that. There's a player baton here. I've seen this used to teach the game, using it as a pointer to indicate what you're talking about. They did have an actual baton that you could order. I did not get that because it seemed a little superfluous to me. Okay, that's the punch boards. Let's take a look at some of the deluxe resources. So what we just looked at had cubes. Remember, you saw in these trays there's some cubes. For the deluxe game, those are going to be replaced with realistic resource pieces. Here we've got bundles of bones. Rounds of wood. Again, we'll take some close-ups of that. and then ingots of metal. And those are nice and hefty. Excellent. That's beautiful. And then we've got the engraved worker chips. So these might replace the base tokens. Take a look at this here. Once you get it open, that helps pull them out of the packaging. That's nice. Yeah, so these are going to replace the base tokens. Base tokens are just a round wooden screen printed token. These might, I'm not sure if these are wood or resin, but they've got engravings on one side of them for the shield. The numbers are not engraved; those are still screen printed. But they're also they don't have an even round edge. They look like they're carved out of a round of wood. Okay, I won't embarrass myself by opening the rest of those. Replacement worker chips. Okay. I'll have to look back at what was going on there. It seems like there was some sort of an issue in production with the original resource chips. Maybe they didn't like the color, or there was some variation between colors that would allow you to know what a player had put out for the different numbers. So anyway, there's a complete replacement of these worker chips that were in the first print. Okay, won't bother with that because I won't be using them. I have the deluxe version. There is a promo pack, so this is just a few extra cards that are going to modify the game a little bit. These are the enamel inspiration tokens. Metal instead of the cardboard punch outs you saw. Those are colored on both sides. So beautiful as well. Instrument standees and the dice tower. All right, let's take a look at the standees. Note to self, bring a knife, not just a letter opener when you do an unboxing. I do not know if this will fit in the box or not. That remains to be seen, but I would hope so, since it's got its own plastic tray. Oh, right. We pulled out that white cardboard box a bit ago, so it will replace this packaging. Don't know what those markers are for. Oh, correct. These are the standees to support the instruments. So you set those in the slot, and then they will stand up on the board as a little better representation of the instruments. So a double bass here. We'll set like that on the board. Pipe organ. So different colored bases. Each player can keep track of which instruments they put out. So all of the instruments represented in here with a wooden screen printed version. Those look absolutely gorgeous. Okay, and the last thing to take a look at is the dice tower. this is probably just as ridiculous as the baton, but who wouldn't want a musical dice tower? Obviously, will have to be assembled. Let's see if I can get into it. Well taped. This should be a pretty fun project. So it actually has got screws to assemble some of the portions of it. I assume those are probably for the different musical plates. You can see there we've got metal plates that will go inside that the dice bounce off of to make musical notes. Looks like that might be some adhesive that goes on inside. Assembly instructions. Yeah, so velvet, these are velvet stickers that will go on the inside of it to line it, so to minimize the rattling against the wood and emphasize the striking of the different notes. And here's a look at some of the engraved pieces. Pretty elegant. That should look fantastic when it's all assembled. Keyboard, sides, interior pieces, additional level of the keyboard. Those are all lettered, so it should be pretty easy to put forward. And here's the panel with the actual pipes for the organ. Very cool. Maybe when I get it all done, I can post a little picture of the final product. But for now, let's take a look at some of the individual components. All right, here we've got the dice. You can see the screen printing is pretty distinct on those. They look really great. They're lightweight. They're not a heavy wood. But anyway, those should be quite nice. Hopefully they make a good tone when they're going down through the dice tower. These are the base game tokens, and here are the upgraded tokens. So you can see the engraving on the one side, and then screen printing on the other side, which is flat, and how those edges have kind of a rough wood look to them. Obviously, I have no idea what these are accomplishing in the game at this point, but they're great quality components, a nice upgrade from the base. All right, let's take a look at some coins. Here's the ones. Hopefully you got some good view of the detail on those. Got a nice weight to them, not real heavy for the ones as you would expect, but the engraving is very high quality. Here we've got the fives, a little bit heavier with the horn. And finally, we've got the tens. I don't think they're as heavy as some metal coins that I've used before. Like I can think Merchants of the Dark Road, those coins are definitely heavier than these, but Nonetheless, these I think are great. I think you can get a little too heavy with coins, so these feel good. Let's take a look at the resources. Here's the metal ingots. Just look like a block of copper. Just flat on the bottom. And then we've got the bundles of bone. And finally, we've got some rounds of wood. One side is flat, the other side has got the wood grain engraved into it. Very cool. And then finally, we have the inspiration tokens. So really high gloss on the red on those. Really nice production. Now let's take a little closer look at some of these instruments that came with the standees. So you can see the screen printing on these is really, really nice. It's got a gloss to it, double-sided. These are, I expect this will just really pop when you get it out on the table. Grand piano. There's the serpent. The accordion. Hey, yeah, every band needs an accordion. Another piano. Okay, so that pretty well wraps everything up. Got quite the mess to put back together again. All right, folks, well, that about does it for Luthier or Luthier. And hope you got something informative out of this. Thanks for stopping by. I'm looking forward to diving into this one. And now that I see it's got a quick start tutorial, that should be a big help in getting this out to the table. My wife especially is not into complicated games. This one is going to be pushing her limits, but I think with that quick start, this is going to make things a lot easier. All right, hope you enjoyed, and good luck if you're purchasing it yourself. Hope you enjoy it as well. Take care.